Hello everybody, how you all doing? What are we looking at here, boys and girls? It is the IPOR token. Just like we recommended you guys do use their IPOR platform, and you would have received those IPOR tokens you've done as suggested. Now let's have a look at how much the airdrop was actually worth and what the sort of the mechanics of the airdrops were. And then we will look at some of the other stuff in relation to the protocol, because very soon what's going to happen is these tokens are going to become I'm going to be actually become usable, so you can actually already stake them, but the rewards are not actually still active. But that is kind of very shortly on Wednesday, if I am not mistaken. So lots and lots going on. We're going to talk about their token, their power tokens, the whole tokenomics model, and lots of stuff. So make sure you guys stick around the end, because this project is so much so far below the radar, is absolutely insane. So I'm going to be talking about lots of interesting stuff today, and you definitely want to stick around. If you've made it this far, make sure you stick around and get all the good juicy alpha that I'm going to be dropping today. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, this is the IPOR token. Here it is, and let's look at the price history, and there we go. So it kind of started trading around $2, went all the way up to nearly $3, and then kind of slowly dropped and bounced and dropped, and now we're currently sitting at around 175 or so. But you know, as far as airdrops go, this isn't too bad. So okay, it started round 2 and it's still round 2, give or take, you know, a couple of percentage points up or down. And look at the volume. Volume has gone down to only 200,000, so it's essentially zero. But the token is still holding its price. So that's why I think this token right now is at an incredible value. So if you guys were thinking about getting in right now, it's not a terrible time to get in, even though if you're super early, you would have gotten a little bit better price. But it is pretty much around the bottom right now, and with the utility launching within just 2 days, it's highly likely that these tokens that are currently in circulation are going to get locked up into the platform, which means there'll be very little sell pressure. The only sell pressure that you guys are going to see is going to be the inflation, which is only going to be 10,800 tokens, which is micro emissions at the beginning, okay? So there's not going to be a lot of sell pressure, and anybody that's actually staking is probably going to just restake, and there's unlikely going to be much in terms of sell pressure. So it's a pretty good opportunity to get in if you guys are thinking about it. But of course, you know, there's no guarantees in crypto, so I just want to make sure you know this is not financial advice, and you know, you guys do further research for yourself. However, let's talk a little bit more about the airdrop. So how did you get the airdrop, and what were the actual airdrop sizes, and how much were they worth? In order to do that, we're going to head on over to this tab here, which is the list of the addresses that got the airdrop, and then beside here you can see how much the airdrop was actually worth. So if we look at the price here, that's 190 tokens point, the rest is decimal point. So that's 190 tokens. That's 240 tokens, etc., etc. So the amount of tokens people got was actually super low, considering this is the total supply of the token is 100 million. So it was actually a little bit disappointing for most people, because the vast majority of the rewards were earned for people who were actually providing liquidity. Surprise, surprise. That's kind of common for these sort of protocols anyway. But there was a very extensive Crew 3 program, which everybody, including myself, thought would be more of a factor in rewards, but it wasn't really. Which I was actually quite disappointed in, because if you look at the addresses, there are a total of only 300 and a little bit more addresses. So it's only 300 people, 368 people, probably even less, that got, there could be multiple, you know, people with multiple addresses here, that got the rewards, and that's it. I mean, it's a super small group of people, and the whole point of airdrops is to create a community. And if they had actually rewarded people who participated in Crew 3 better, they would have created a much bigger community. Like, I know there were over 3,500 people on Crew 3. And that's why I think it's a huge miss here for the protocol, that they've only rewarded about maybe 10% or less of people who actually participated. So everybody else has now been alienated. They were supporting the program, but then they've got pushed out. So that's a big loss for the protocol. That's why you see such low trading volume right now. And that's why potentially you're seeing such a huge opportunity, because very few people own the tokens, and the ones who do are probably not going to sell them from this point on, because now we're going to start seeing the utility of the token. So in terms of how the rewards were calculated, how much they were worth, so the vast majority, if we order the rewards here, my goodness, okay, still a long time if you're trying to scroll. So if we order this by A to Z, so we go from lowest to highest, you can see most people only got 100 tokens, and then it only very slowly goes up. and then we're 180. Then many people got 200, 240, many people got 240, and I'll tell you how this came up. And then very few people got more, and now we get these random numbers here. This is because they were calculated based on the liquidity provided. And then it goes up very steeply towards the whales. The whales got a lot of tokens, so you got a bunch of whales here, and that's the dangerous part. You don't want whales. You know, we're talking about decentralization here. And that's why it's a little bit disappointing that so few people total got the airdrop, and then most of the people got the airdrop got a very small airdrop, and then a few people got a huge airdrop. But a lot of these tokens are probably vested, which means they're locked and they're going to be slowly unlocked over time, and people are only going to be able to sell these tokens over a considerable amount of time. So this is how the airdrop was distributed. So LPs, so liquidity providers that provided more than $100 on average over 5 months, these people got 180 IPOR tokens. So what this means, let's say you provided $1,000, as was the Crew 3 task, and you left those $1,000 in for 15 days. That would have been $15,000 in aggregate. And then you divide 15,000 by 5 months. So 5 months, that's 5 months 3, that's 150 days. 30 days times 550 days. So 100 on average would be $15,000. So if you reach that $15,000 threshold, you would have gotten 100 IPOR points. So that was first thing. So if you just put the liquidity in and left it there for 15 days, then you would have hit this first criteria here. And it's kind of telling this was the first criteria. And then the second criteria, B, traders that have opened interest rate swaps and paid more than $5 worth of opening fees. So I think the fee was more than that anyway for any kind of thing that you opened. So the task was for $500, I believe. So we paid quite a fee there. So that was pretty much anybody that opened interest rate swaps according to the Crew 3 task would have gotten this year. So there was 161 people doing that, and the reward again was 100 IPOR tokens. And then the community members that have achieved the rank of citizens of IPOR or higher, that was 152. So that I think was 3,500 XP on Crew 3. So they would have gotten 100 tokens as well. I am not sure about the DAO collaborations. I don't even know if that was existed, but the bonuses were quite important because you got a 20% bonus if you qualified at least 2 groups. So let's say you got 100 tokens for opening interest rate swaps, and you got 100 tokens for being a citizen of IPOR. That's 200, and then you got a 20% bonus that would have given you 240 tokens. If you also provide liquidity for at least $15,000 worth of liquidity over the 5 months, you know, calculate as I explained, you've got another 100 points. But the thing is, if you did that, that wouldn't have qualified you for a 50% bonus, so that would immediately catapult you from 240 to 450. So essentially doubled your allocation if you did that. And then the last sort of bonus was for IPORians, those people who achieved, I think it was 12 or 13,000 points. That was quite difficult to do. And then you also had to be voted in as an IPORian through their Discord. So that was huge, 900. And I suppose if you put a bonus on top of that, I'm not sure if bonus on bonus works, but you know, that could be an extra 50% as well on top of that. I'm not sure, but there weren't very many people who got that. But those, the key thing is those tokens are unlocked and you can sell them immediately. Whereas these other things, these rewards that are quite huge, that's 305,000 IPOR. These are vested linearly vested over 6 months. So I think they're locked probably daily or weekly, I'm not sure. And this is going to represent quite a big sell pressure, because if these people are going to sell, but they could also stake and earn more tokens over the long term. So this is going to neatly brings us back into the tokenomics of and the game theory of vesting and staking tokens. Because how do we know what's going to happen with this project going forward? Let's take a look at, first of all, what is the current market cap of IPOR. Going into CoinGecko, we don't actually know. It says here market cap unknown, circulating supply unknown. Trading volume we can see, but the fully diluted valuation is coming up as 175 million, which is a lot. That's a lot for a new project. But as we all know, the actual circulating supply is tiny. You've seen how few tokens are actually distributed through the airdrop, but there are other tokens that are in circulation, and they do provide that figure as well. I got this link in somewhere in Discord, I believe. So I just have to find it. I have it somewhere here. Maybe is it this? Okay, so we're gonna go through these tabs until we get there. I probably skipped over it. No, okay, here it is. All right, as you can see, this number here is 641,000 and 29 tokens. That's the actual circulating supply. So let's do some quick math here. So 641, we're not going to bother with the 29, okay, times the current price, 175, sorry, clear the, okay, well, let's do this again. So 641,000 times 1.75. This means currently we have a market cap, a grand total of 1,121,000, yada, yada, yada. So it's a micro cap project right now. So if this project gets even a little bit of marketing, you can expect this price to absolutely explode. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. This is a potential 100x coin right here, because we don't need a lot of volume to come in to absolutely balloon this price. And actually, guys, I will have you know that Chico Crypto, he promoted this airdrop on his channel. So if he starts talking about it and brings some volume in here, I mean, this thing could just explode. It could also go down to zero, because there's going to be inflation and there's going to be rewards for liquidity providers, so they could dump it to zero as well. And in the long term, again, because we're talking about a 200 million market cap fully diluted, over the long term the price might drop, in fairness, but we're talking short-term speculation here, okay, not long-term. But I do want to talk about long-term as well, because IPOR is quite unique in terms of their tokenomics. Let's actually go to their portal here, because here we can more easily demonstrate what's going on. So we're going to start liquidity rewards in 1 day, 22 hours, and 40 minutes. I think it is 12 p.m. they say, but I don't like the 12 p.m. because that confuses me. Is that at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day? Okay, so that's a really terrible way of naming something. So we're going to call it 12 noon. It is 12 noon, so it's bang smack in the middle of the day. This is when this is going to start. So how this is going to work. So you're going to provide liquidity. With liquidity, you're going to get your IPUSDC tokens, and then you're going to lock these tokens in. You're going to stake them. Then you're going to put in your IPOR tokens, and you're going to get Power IPOR tokens. And then you're going to decide how many of these you're going to delegate to which pool. Okay, so you are going to then, we have 3 pools here currently. So USDC, USDT, and DAI. They're different sizes and they provide different APRs. Okay, so depending on how much money you got, you could play this 2 different ways. So you could say, okay, I'm going to stake the one that provides the biggest rewards, the biggest APR, so that will be USDT. Why? Because it has the biggest utility. Most people use Tether. You may not like Tether. You may think it's a fake junk token, whatever. Nothing but air behind it. You may prefer USDC because it's safer, because it's backed by Circle, like a US company, possibly audited, etc. Unlike USDT, which has never been audited. Or you may be full DeFi DJ and you want to go with DAI and you don't believe in all these centralized shitcoins. Okay, so depending on your beliefs, depending on your economic incentives, you're going to decide which pool you're going to put your liquidity in. But then you can also decide with your power tokens which of these pools you're going to power up, and that could be based on what your percentage of the liquidity you're providing, because a lot of us are small players, we're not whales, and generally because we're not whales, it was kind of didn't make sense for us to even play this game, because the rewards would have been so small proportionally that unless you were in super early and ahead of everybody, which you should again be as well, you can already put all the chips in play before this whole thing even starts in 1 day and 22 hours, and because you want to be there as soon as it starts, because at that stage the rewards are going to be your share is going to represent your liquidity is going to represent the biggest possible share, because over time more people are going to come in, liquidity is going to go up, so your share is going to diminish. But the good thing about the power tokens is which you can get by staking IPOR, is that you're going to get a bigger proportion of the rewards than the whales are going to get. So the whales are going to need a lot more power tokens in order to achieve the same amount of boost that you will with a smaller amount of liquidity. So this is where this power token design comes in. And sorry, the main thing here is the amount of power tokens that you stake is going to boost non-linearly your rewards according to liquidity. So you can put a lot of liquidity and it's not going to really do much for your rewards, okay? Or you can stake power tokens and it's going to boost it a lot. So for instance, if I'm here, I'm going to get, unfortunately there's no numbers, so it would be great if you guys put some numbers here so we know whether this is an actual shape of the curve or whether this is just completely made up. We don't know what this is. It may be available somewhere, but I haven't found it. you know, let's go kind of halfway just by eye. So here I only need to put in this much liquidity to get half of the rewards boost, um, versus somebody who needs to put in this much liquidity in order to get the same, or somebody who doesn't have the power tokens. It's probably a linear progression for rewards as well here. So you know, we could do a lot more if we had a little bit better graph here, but this is just an illustration. So it just means that we can have, what's going to happen is it's going to incentivize more smaller players versus fewer bigger players. Okay, and what that means, it helps with decentralization, and also helps with stability, because if you're more smaller players, it's unlikely that, you know, a lot of them or all of a sudden going to decide to just unstake and just take liquidity and walk. Versus just one big whale which essentially can control everything, especially if they get all the liquidity rewards, and then they just become more and more powerful, and that just means essentially it's going the wrong way. Instead of decentralization, it is just long term going towards centralization. So this is what this is the setup of the tokens, the way this works. And the other thing I want to talk about is in terms of just the plain tokenomics. Why do we have this problem with long-term incentives versus short-term incentives? The thing is, we all know that essentially with crypto, it's I hate to say it, but Ponzonomics is essentially what drives crypto prices. Okay, it just is the way it is. Okay, so what happens is usually there's a burst of interest, the price goes up, and then let's take an example of, let's say, DYDX token. Okay, this is a huge airdrop, and I just want to show you what it's the inevitable, you know, history of every token. It goes up and then goes down. Okay, let's look at the whole price. So we got the airdrop, and it was around 10, and then it went up to 25, and then ever since then it went down. So this is just initial hype. This is essentially Ponzi. This means the old players get the money from the new players. Okay, that you have this surge of interest comes in, and then that drives the price up, and it really doesn't. And okay, inflation matters, but not as much in the short term. Inflation is really important over the long term, but every project needs inflation because that's how it finances itself. They need to issue new tokens in order to be able to pay for everything, you know, because they always have costs. And unless they issue tokens, they're not going to have any money to pay their users. Okay, they need that utility. They need some sort of economy in their system, because we need a token, because that's how the money gets in, right? It just is what it is. Okay, guys, so this is really important to realize. This is the problem we have, and this is why we're tweaking tokenomics, and this is why IPOR has a new tokenomics model with these power tokens, which allow you to power different parts of the system differently, which, you know, which can then help align incentives in a more long-term sustainable way. So the problem with every token under the sun is Bitcoin, Ether, you know, everybody included, is we have inflation and we have hype, and then we have bull and we have bear markets. So this obviously is a bear market. This was obviously a bull market. And then we have this surge of interest, the price goes up, and then if unavoidably, eventually it goes down. Okay, just because there's more tokens, because of inflation, there's less interest because the market turns from bull to bear. But what this is kind of what we want to mitigate. We can't stop it, but we want to mitigate it. So we want to reward long-term holders. So that's why people, in order to earn tokens, they have to lock them up. And by locking them up, they are then rewarded by higher rewards. Simple as. Okay, so if you lock this for a year, you're going to get X amount of rewards. If you lock it for 4 years, you're going to get twice X the amount of points. Okay, so that means if you're a long-term believer in a project and you're willing to lock up your tokens and not sell them, not destroy the liquidity, not take the money out of the system, you are going to be rewarded more than somebody who is just there for the short term, who's just there to play the game, sell the tokens, and then move on to something else. Okay, and that's fair enough. However, it really doesn't motivate most people to lock up, because most people are here for short term. They want the quick gains and then they want to go away. Although a little advice for myself here is, having been through a bull, a bear, and a bull, and now a bear, it's very tempting to be a short-term player, to take the big gains, to take this money here. However, it is much more profitable, much easier really, to be the long-term player, to essentially hold tokens and then buy and accumulate, whether that is just buying them with new money or just simply staking them and earning new tokens and just holding them through the entirety of the bear market. Okay, and then buying more, staking more, just becoming a bigger and bigger player in the ecosystem. And then when the bull market comes again around, and the thing jumps up, that's when you reap the rewards. Now you can do that with Bitcoin, you can do that with Ethereum, you can do it with any token, but obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum have become so big, it is very hard for them to grow a lot. But with these smaller tokens, it is much easier. But of course, it's much riskier because the project could fail and the tokens could become worthless. That's why you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. However, if you want to win, this is the way to win. Stay with the project long term, okay? And just, okay, this sounds like financial advice, but this is just my experience that I want to share with you guys. Stay with the project, farm their tokens, average down, stay in for 4 years. That's all you gotta do, 4 years. And then when the new bull market comes, you're going to be making 100x, maybe more, easily 20x your money. And that's how to make money in crypto. And if you go for the short term, if you're trying to trade, God forbid, leverage trade, you're probably just going to get shaken out because people don't understand the complexities of trading and how these things really work. They see these short-term gains and they think, okay, I can just do a quick bet, double, 10x my money, and etc. etc. But the problem is you need to be consistent with it, and that's where people fail. You can win a few things and you can have a short period of wins, but the problem is that short period of wins is going to be followed by a long period of losses, and you're going to give back everything you earned and then some. Okay, so I suggest you guys subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be covering this topic more in the future, because this is becoming more and more relevant, because as we are exiting the bear market, we need to really urgently start talking about these things, because opportunities are going to become bigger, but I mean they're actually going to become smaller because the biggest opportunities are in the bear market. Now the bear market is ending, guys. It is ending. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's ending. So we need to pay attention here. So I'm going to make sure you guys subscribe. I'm going to try and then give you the right information, the right kind of framework to think around these things to make sure you're successful long term, not short term. I can't tell you how to trade. I'm not going to tell you this token goes up in price, this goes down in price, and you should 20x leverage this or that. I'm not going to tell you that. I've tried it, I've done it, I've had mixed results, to be honest with you. But the one thing that's worked for me always is holding long term. Okay, that's always worked for me. It is the long way, and that's the catch. That's the catch in crypto. People want it quick, and it seems so easy, so close, so achievable, but it's actually not. The easy way is the long way. Okay, the quick way is much harder. It can be done, but it's the exception. It's not the rule. So you just gotta be patient. You gotta be in for the long haul. You got to learn about these things, you got to learn about tokenomics. You got to accumulate as many tokens as you can, which means you stake, you provide liquidity, you earn tokens, you engage in governance, and you do all these important things. Become a real DeFi native, really learn and understand these things, and then this is going to reward you in the long term. Okay, so what else do I want to cover real quick? Because I've just gone on a bit of a tangent here. So I'm going to put the links to all the stuff I'm showing here in the description below. Also, any updated information, make sure you check the description and check the comments below, because I do frequently update some of the stuff because I may get it wrong, or some things may change, I may update. So I'll put that stuff in the description below, all these things that you may want to have. I think I kind of covered most. I don't want to make this a super long video. So we got the airdrop. I explained how the airdrop was distributed, and maybe just do a quick calculation in terms of the value. So let's say the average was about 240 tokens. So that was pretty easy to do. You just need to provide liquidity, and you need to do crucial tasks, and you need to do a swap. So that would have gotten you at least 200. So we got between 240 and 450 IPOR tokens, and you sold them at say 250. Where's my mouse? Okay, so let's say you've got 240 tokens and you sold it at 250, which would have been easy. You could have gotten more as well, but that would have been easy to do. That would have been $600. But if you were a little bit clever and you did liquidity providing for long enough as well, you've gotten 450 tokens, which multiplied by 250 would have gotten you 1,125. If you also became an IPORian, so that was 900 plus 450, that would have been giving 1,350 tokens times 250. That would have been 3,375. Okay, so it's not one of the biggest airdrops, but it was relatively easy. But there was quite a few tasks to get engaged with. But liquidity providing and doing a swap, that was fairly easy. And if you just left the money in there, you got that bonus as well there. So 240 tokens was pretty achievable, and 240 tokens that was worth 600. So that's not too bad for a couple of clicks essentially, if you didn't really engage with the Crew 3 as much. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So that was another success for us. So if you want to get these things in the future, just make sure you follow the channel, because I cover things that are high probability. I'm not going to do a video every day and give you 20 projects to try, because that's just not sustainable, in fairness, for most people. I do the odd one here and there that I feel really strongly about. And so far we are 2 out of 2. Hopefully we'll do more in the future. But if not, you know, we'll try and at least guide you towards long-term success in crypto, because it is harder and easier than it seems. It's both harder and easier. In ways it's too good to be true, and people don't even attempt it. On the other hand, they try the easy stuff, but that's actually the hard stuff. So people get things the wrong way around in crypto, and that's why I'm here to teach you to avoid. All right, guys, let's wrap this up here. We've been long enough. Any questions? Check it in, get in touch in the comments below. I'm always really here looking at your comments and really happy to answer any of your questions. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I'll see you in the next one.